is Clarence, and he's a total dork. He lives in his parents' basement, so that's our first build. In one corner, there's a washing machine and dryer. It uses this tube piece for the duct. On the walls, you'll find some tools and some bins piled up with all sorts of stuff. But what's important to Clarence is his gaming setup. This triple monitor PC is his prized possession, and this gaming chair allows him to play for countless hours. You see, Clarence is fully addicted to gaming. For one, he hasn't touched grass in like 5 years, and the only sunlight he gets are the sparse rays that happen to break through these musty basement windows. And his diet? It's horrible. He stuffs his face with junk food and never cleans up after himself, saying he doesn't have time. The entire basement is trashed and filthy because of all the messes.
Mom, I need more pizza rolls.
He refuses to do chores, forcing his mom to clean up after him. But if there's one thing Clarence wants even more than a new video game, it's a girlfriend. However, he has no idea where to start. One time, he worked up the courage to message a girl, but it didn't go as planned. Ever since, he's been too scared to try again, retreating even more into his games. But that's only made things worse, like playing video games in the middle of dinner. He could have gotten his driver's license 2 years ago, but he says he has better things to do. So he rides his old scooter to school every day. And let's just say, it isn't exactly a chick magnet. At school, he's constantly embarrassing himself, like playing with action figures in the middle of class.
That'll teach you a lesson, bucko.
He's also kind of a know-it-all.
Okay, class, what's the fastest land animal?
A cheetah?
Ahem. Properly defining speed as distance equals rate times time, then the pronghorn antelope actually holds the record for sustained velocity.
Dork! Clarence might be a know-it-all in the classroom, but knowing everything doesn't help much in PE. Today, the class is playing baseball. After building the diamond and placing the students, he's up to bat. Since he refuses to exercise, even minor tasks are a huge nuisance for him, and walking up from the basement gets him completely winded. He's so lazy that he puts off other essentials like his own hygiene. And this, worse than anything else, is really stopping him from making progress with the ladies.
Gross.
And honestly, he has no idea what's going wrong. One night, after getting inspired by the movie Twilight, maybe he could be the dark and mysterious type, showing his true love from afar. So he grabbed up a pen and wrote an entire love letter. The next day at school, he waited until no one was around and snuck over to the girl's locker before slipping the letter inside. Lately, his games had been getting expensive, so he decided to get a job. So now we're building a video game store. In the windows, there's advertisements and posters showing off all of the latest releases and gaming gear. But the coolest part of the building is this giant controller I built for the roof. Inspired by a Game Boy Advance, it has all of the buttons you would expect, as well as speakers. The whole thing is about the same as a Game Boy Micro. With the outside complete, it's time to design the interior. Inspired by stores like GameStop and Game Exchange, I printed off a bunch of stickers to set things up. Above the racks of games, you'll see posters for the consoles to help you navigate the store. For less popular titles, I made this spinning rack, and for the even cheaper ones, you'll have to dig in this bargain bin, which is where I always ended up. At the cashier's desk, I built this Xbox display case for some controllers. The funnest area is this video game testing station. When Clarence arrived at the store for his interview, he impressed the manager with all of his gaming knowledge, and he got hired on the spot. And starting right away, he thought he was in heaven, but the games ended up being way too tempting for him.
Do you guys have Junkbot?
Leaving the manager no choice.
You're fired.
Later that day, he met up for pizza with his friend Chase.
Bro, you just got fired and rejected in the same day. Don't you think it's time to change something?
Change what? Girls are just impossible, and that job was stupid anyway.
Dude, if every girl runs away and you keep losing jobs, maybe the problem isn't them.
In that moment, something clicked in his brain. That night, instead of gaming, he got some dating books and started learning everything he could. Step 1. Get in shape. If Clarence was going to exercise, he wanted to have fun doing it. And secretly, he had always wanted to be a ninja. So our next build is a kung fu training dojo. For the windows, I used black fence pieces, and the door has a cool Chinese print. To detail the roof, I connected a ton of these golden cylinder pieces. A lot of Chinese dojos have cool circular windows, so I wanted to include one. However, these simple arches didn't look right, so I added a layer of circular tiles that fit perfectly going sideways. This stack of red windows matches Chinese building techniques. On the inside, I built a walkway circling the dojo floor, and using a ton of window pieces, I built this partition thing to separate the different areas that looked like the right style to me. When Clarence arrived, he met Sensei Mundi, the reigning master of the dojo who would be his teacher, and he might look like an old man, but looks can be deceiving. Clarence's first lesson, strength. After his mishap with the bow staff, they moved to the chopping blocks on the roof. It didn't get any better. But for the first time, Clarence was determined not to give up, and he kept showing up to train. And before long, he was stronger, faster, and more athletic than ever. Clarence knew he had to improve his hygiene. No more skipping showers. And with the bonus of smelling good, he actually had the chance to work on his social skills. There was no chance Clarence was taking a date on a scooter ride. He would need a car. And luckily, his dad had an old one ready that he was waiting to pass down to him. It wasn't the nicest on the block, but it'd get him from point A to point B. The only problem? Clarence still had to pass his driver's test. As you move through the course's challenges, you'll find road signs, crosswalks, and other obstacles like these dummies, not to mention the wildlife. It started smoothly, but then Clarence punched the gas instead of the brake. He totally failed.
Kids, no good.
Back home, he explained everything and asked his dad for help. He had no idea that back in '85, his dad was the best driver this side of the Mississippi. And after a day out on the road learning everything he could, Clarence passed with ease. He hadn't paid attention to his hair in years, so his next stop was the barber shop, which makes me think of these red, white, and blue spinning poles, and if you spin it, it's able to capture a bit of the same effect. I also like the way the chair turned out, particularly with how I used these handlebars as the armrests, and for the sign on top of the building, there's a giant mustache that I made using this guy's design. It gives the entire building a classic manly vibe. When he arrived, he sat in this chair and flipped through magazines as the barber finished up shaving another guest. Clarence had no idea what kind of cut to ask for, so he left it to the barber. And he was glad he did, because it ended up looking really good. If he wanted to pay for a date, he'd have to get a job, because he was still broke. So he got hired as a car washer. It definitely wasn't glamorous work, but the pay was decent, and helped him learn new skills. And with the money he saved up, he was able to upgrade his clothes that were worn out and didn't fit him very well anymore. And looking back, he was shocked at just how much he had changed over the few short weeks. He even started helping around the house to give his mom a much needed break. And finally, he knew the day had arrived, so with a deep breath, he took his shot. And with that, the rest was history. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments, tell me one way you could improve. I know that I could definitely start trying to get back into shape. And until next time, see you later.